Alrighty then. It's the wee hours of Thursday morning, and it's time for an old man yapping. Do the little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. I want to talk about the economics of piracy, because every so often a post will come across my Tumblr dashboard, and it will be some fucking jackass saying, hey, I just wanted to remind you, make sure you pirate all your software because fuck big corporations. Piracy is a kind of stealing, and a lot of people don't really regard it as stealing because it's not theft. Now, the difference in theft is when you deprive somebody else of a thing, and in piracy, you don't deprive anybody else of anything. They have a digital file on a server somewhere, you make a copy of that digital file, you have it, so do they. They still have their copy. Their copy isn't gone. But now you have a copy. You have a copy that you didn't pay for. You stole that copy because you didn't pay for it. You're supposed to pay for it, and you didn't. Those are the rules. You broke the rules. You stole it. You haven't deprived anybody else of the thing. And that's an important part of the economics of piracy, because what none of y'all seem to understand is that piracy doesn't hurt the company you pirate from. It doesn't hurt them at all. What it does is refuse to support them. The thing about piracy is that piracy gives you a thing that you want. But you wanting the thing is part of what the company that makes the thing wants. They want you to want the thing. They want you to want the thing so much that you can't stand not having it, and you must steal it if you cannot afford to buy it. They want you to want the thing that much because you wanting it tells other people that they should want it too. Maybe one of them will buy it. If you want to hurt the company that is making a thing, don't buy it, but don't steal it either. If you steal it, you're just helping them a lot less. You're not giving them any money, but you're not costing them any money either. Even if you tell other people, hey, go steal this thing, the only people who will go steal it are other thieves. They weren't going to buy it anyway because they're thieves. You're not actually doing any damage. You're not making a statement. You're not sending a message. You're not accomplishing anything. What you're doing is you are reinforcing the idea that the thing this company you hate produces, the thing that you refuse to pay for because of reasons, the thing that you stole because you can't stand not to have it, is that fucking important. Even though you hate the company that makes it, even though you hate the thing itself, even though you object to it on all kinds of moral and ethical and legal grounds, it's the wrong thing to do. It's still so fucking good that you have to have it. You hate the company, you hate the product, but you must have it. The part where you say you must have it, that benefits the company you hate in promoting the product you hate to other people who buy it. If you don't want to help them, at the very least, if you don't want to help them, you can't steal their shit. You have to say, fuck them. I'm not going to have their shit. I'm not going to have it at all. I'm not going to buy it, and I'm not going to steal it either. I'm just not going to have it because it's just not that important. It's just not that good. That sends a message. That's the message that you want to send. That's what you're trying to communicate. Fuck that guy. Piracy doesn't communicate that. Theft doesn't either. Like, let's imagine that you hate Target because they're fucking racist, which they are. And Target's getting fucking desperate. Target has begun showing me ads on YouTube of happy black people ostentatiously shopping at Target. They're like, come on, guys, please, come shop at Target. Look, see, other black people come shop at Target. They're trying to get that black market back in Target because the black people looked and said, nah, you're fucking racist. No, you did that racist shit, and now we're just not. We're going to go somewhere else. But let's imagine that instead of going somewhere else, what if you stole from Target? What if you went to Target and you stole whatever you were going to buy from Target instead of buying it? Now you're costing Target money. Here's the problem. When you cost Target money by stealing their shit, that's not going to impact the investors. The investors have a contract that say they're going to get paid a certain amount. It's not going to impact shareholders. Shareholders have a contract. They get their dividends. The shares are a contract. The board of directors, not affected. CEO, not affected. Still gets his whole salary. He's got a contract. The other executives, no impact. They've got a contract. You know who doesn't have a contract? The people working at your local Target. And when enough of you steal your shit from Target, that Target happens to be losing hundreds of thousands of dollars from this one store where all of you are stealing your shit, they're going to fire a bunch of people. Local people, people that work in your local Target, regular people, people like you, people who work for a living, people who work for an hourly wage that isn't really enough because Target fucking sucks. They don't pay their people enough. Those are the people who suffer. You steal from Target, that's who suffers. And a lot of people might turn around and they might say, well, it's the same thing if you boycott, isn't it? I mean, if you boycott and they lose, if you just don't buy the stuff, then they lose money. They lose the money because you don't buy the stuff. And then they still have to fire the same people. Yes, but because you're not stealing the stuff, you still need to buy the stuff. You're just going to go buy it somewhere else. You're going to go buy it at, I don't know, Fred's. You're going to go buy it from Fred's general store. Merv runs the general store at the end of the street. That's where you used to shop before the Target got here. Now that you're boycotting Target, you're going to go back to Merv's. So you go back to Merv's or you go to Fred's, whichever. And you buy your shit there. Well, now Fred and Merv are making more money. They're making the money that Target used to be making. And now they need to hire more people. They need to buy more stock. They need to hire more people. They need to do more business. And when Target fires people because they're not doing enough business, those people have exactly the skills and experience that they need to go work for Merv or Fred. Is it a bit of a hardship? Yes. Is there some churn? Yes, because the people who work at Target are going to lose their job. But Fred and Merv were already hiring, and they hired people who couldn't get a job at Target. They hired unemployed people that tried to get a job at Target, but Target wasn't hiring. Fred and Merv were hiring. They hired those people. And now their positions in the unemployment line are taken up by former Target employees. There's churn. It's not the same people. Same thing happens at every stratum of society. It's not the same people. When they talk about the top 1% this, the top 1% that, people are moving in and out of the top 1% all the time. It's what we call at the margin. There's an area right in between. It's like you got the top half of 1%, and then the bottom half of 1%, and then you got the bottom 99%, but at the top you got like at the 98.5, you got like the 98%, 98.5%, and then you got another 0.5% in there, and that 1% there, that cycles back and forth. People fall out of the 1%. People move into the 1%. It's not the same people. So blaming those people is not really fair, because at the margin, you got all of these people moving in and out. You got all of these people that are constantly migrating back and forth between there. They're going over that border. At the margin, where things change, that's where differences happen. That's one of the basic concepts of economic thought. And economic thought is really about, it's about understanding everybody that's affected by your decision. If you pirate software, the effect that you have is, number one, you do not give the company money, which is the same situation you already had. That's no change. Number two, you are now using the thing that you pirated. That adds to the popularity and the value of the thing you pirated. That makes the thing you pirated more valuable to the people who make it. You're just providing a much smaller benefit to the people you stole from. You're still benefiting them. You're not actually hurting them. What you did is invisible unless you go and advertise that you pirate your software, which is like going out and advertising, hey, I committed a federal crime with a potential fine of $250,000, which is a bad fucking idea. Don't admit to crimes on the internet. I swear to God, we got one guy in the Discord server that I'm just like constantly, don't talk about criminal activities in the Discord server. Don't talk about your crimes on the internet. No, we set a cop car on fire. Don't talk about your crimes on the internet, you fucking dumbass. I'm not going to narc on you. But if somebody else does, I can't stop them. If there happens to be a cop in here, I don't know. I can't stop them from reading your shit. But you have to think about how everybody is affected. When you steal something, instead of buying it, you say, I hate that company and I hate that product, but I must have it. I must have it. I will steal it because I must have it. I refuse to give them the money. You're just broke. You just don't have the money. You're just not gonna pay them. You still want it. You'd buy it if you had the money. If you had the money, you'd buy it. But you don't have the money, so you're not gonna, and you're gonna pretend that you're making a statement, that this is some kind of message you're sending. They're not getting the message. The only thing piracy does, piracy is this amorphous blob. Nobody really knows how much piracy there is. And nobody really knows how much money would actually go into the pockets of the company if nobody was pirating. But most of the people who pirate games and software and movies and television, they wouldn't buy the thing anyway. They have it to collect it. It's just like, oh God, I was getting crap about Doug Bowser earlier this week because somebody was talking about fuck Nintendo because they sued Doug Bowser for $10 million. I'm like, Doug Bowser is a lying, thieving sack of shit. And some guy said, how does Doug Bowser's elderly dick taste? Did you miss the part where I said he's a lying, thieving sack of shit? You have a pretty fucking weird idea of how cocksucking works. Maybe if he has a humiliation fetish, I don't know. Besides, I imagine it tastes like every other elderly dick. That's a fairly weird insult to hurl at somebody on the notoriously gay website Tumblr. A lot of fucking gay people there. How does that elderly dick taste? I'm in my 50s. He's an old person. Most of the people I fuck are old. It used to be such a widespread. You get to a point the young people aren't interested anymore and they think you're gross for trying. And then you stop trying and they still think you're trying for some reason. You just talk to them and they're like, what, do you think I'm going to fuck you? Well, no, but clearly you're thinking about it. Why wouldn't you? I mean, chances are fairly good I know what I'm doing. That's one of the things that's never made sense to me. People talk about age gap relationships and they say, oh, well, an old person shouldn't date a young person. Oh, really? Why is that? And they will tell you all of these reasons why old people are disgusting. Yeah, that would be why I don't want to date an old person. You see how that works? You see how old people are disgusting just means I should be more interested in a young person? Oh, well, young people are disgusting, blah, because of reasons, blah, 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 blah. Oh, well, see, that's a very good reason why that young person should not want to date a young person and prefer to date an older person who isn't disgusting like that young person. Doesn't make any sense. It's just, I mean, if there's an age gap of 15 years or more, you're from different worlds. You didn't grow up with the same stuff. You didn't grow up in the same environment. You didn't grow up in the same... You weren't watching the same television shows or the same movies. Your schooling was very different. When I went to school, we had nuclear attack drills. Like, what do you do when the air raid sirens go off because the Russians are dropping the bombs and we're all going to die? That was a fairly different situation than people have today, where they do active shooter drills, where what do you do when one of your friends shows up with a duffel bag full of assault rifles and you're all going to die? The more things change, the more they stay the same, I guess. I mean, it's a little bit different. I grew up thinking it was going to be some faraway military jackass who pushed a button. And today, I mean, my kids grew up with, it's somebody you know. It's somebody you see every day. They just decided one day that they're going to kill you. Those are different worlds. I grew up in a world where I was taught to distrust Russians, where I was taught to distrust, indeed, anybody from Eastern Europe. And then I went to Eastern Europe, and I went to Russia, and I met Russians, I learned a little Russian, and I met Eastern Europeans, and they're very different, but I appreciate those differences, and I see the value in those differences, and I see the beauty in these cultures. There's a sensibility in Eastern Europe that doesn't exist anywhere else, not even in Russia. Even Russians are different. And Ukrainians are very different. And I always found that fascinating. I know so many people that they're just like, well, how can you tell the difference between Russians and Ukrainians? And you know what it is? Russians laugh with their whole chest. It's a deep, hearty laugh. Ukrainians giggle. Ukrainians kind of giggle and titter and hold it in. Because when Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union, they were not the big dogs. They were the small fish in the big pot. The Russians were the big fish. They could be hardy and expressive and laugh with their whole chest. The Ukrainians don't. They keep it in. Because the Russians get to be loud and demonstrative. But Ukrainians have to know their place and stay in it. And that's the thing in Eastern Europe. As you're going through Eastern Europe, as you're looking at Eastern Europe, there's very much a sense that they are a small people that doesn't matter in a larger whole. And since the fall of the Soviet Union, since the USSR fell, the Eastern Europeans have started to stand up, and they started to feel themselves and go, wait, we're big boys now. Our country is not a tiny little also-ran in the Soviet Union. We're a country, we're a real country. We're a country like every other. We matter. We make a difference. And we've had three generations grow up in that world where it's not Czechoslovakia anymore. It's the Czech Republic. And it's beautiful the way that's happened. It's beautiful the way that has changed. Although in recent years we've had Russian incursion into Crimea and into Ukraine and now into Poland, and just earlier today into Romania. Into fucking Romania. I have friends in Poland. I have friends in Romania. I have friends in Ukraine. I have friends in Russia. Although my friends in Russia are on the east coast of Russia. I have friends in Vladivostok. But I have friends in Eastern Europe, and Russia's fucking with my friends. And I don't like that. But that difference between worlds, that happens between countries, and it happens between ages, and it happens between races. I mean, for God's sake, if you date a black person, if you're a white person and you date a black person, you don't live in the same world they do. You need to be educated about what their world is. I don't know that they need to be educated on what your world is. If you're a white American person, everybody is constantly surrounded by your world. They're constantly told what your world is. I don't think they need to be educated on what your world is. But if you're a white person, especially if you're a male white person, especially if you're an old male white person, you need to be educated on what somebody else's world is. Because it's not yours. And you've probably walked right by it over and over again and just never fucking noticed it. When I was a teenager, I hung out in Southeast DC. And in the 1980s, Washington, D.C. was the murder capital of the world. And most of that violence, most of that gang violence that was going on in D.C. was going on in Southeast. And it was black on black crime because white people didn't go to Southeast. That's one of those things. If you ever saw one of Dave Chappelle's early stand-up shows, and he said, you ever seen a group of black kids are walking around? There's this group of black guys is walking around, and one white guy, don't fuck with that white guy. I was that white guy. Dave Chappelle's from Southeast. He's from Southeast DC. That's where he came from. And where did he go? He went to Ohio. Go fucking figure. I was born in Ohio and ended up in Southeast DC. And Dave would always say, the reason that white guy is with those black guys is because he did some shit. And you don't know what that shit is, but you also don't want to find out. And my shit was that I was stupid. That's the reality, because stupid and brave look exactly the same. If, this is a thing that I didn't get when I was a teenager hanging out in Southeast DC. Not being afraid of the gangs didn't make you brave. It made you stupid. And it stood a fairly high chance of making you dead. And I don't know why it didn't make me dead. I don't know why that didn't happen. But it didn't. I've led a charmed life in so many ways. There are so many things that I've done in places I've been where bad shit could have happened. But it didn't. I was fine. We are wandering way off topic because I'm fucking drunk. Economic thought. We're talking about economic thought. Actually, back to Southeast. I used to be the house DJ at the complex in Southeast. The complex was a crack house. I didn't know it was a crack house. But that's what it was. The complex pretended to be a dance club. And that was the excuse for gangbangers and crackheads to be hanging around this fucking building in Southeast. And I was the DJ. I played music, made it sound like, oh, they just in there dancing. They in there dancing and having a party. Now, I've had too much to drink. I cannot remember the man's name. There's a friend of mine from my neighborhood. And when I say my neighborhood, understand, I did not live in Southeast DC. I lived in a suburb of Alexandria, Virginia. And I had a friend also suburb in Alexandria, Virginia. Predominantly white suburb in Alexandria, Virginia. Upper middle class white in Alexandria, Virginia. And I had this friend who was black. He's the one that told me the complex is trying to get a DJ. You should go try and get in as the DJ. And I went and auditioned. They did auditions. And I look back at that, and these drug dealers in DC, these gangbangers and drug dealers, they wanted to think of themselves as businessmen. They wanted to think of themselves as somebody who was dealing the drugs to finance their real business, their legitimate business. And a lot of them wanted to have clubs and to be in the music business. And they did auditions for this, and there was all these people. There was all of these people that were going in and that were auditioning, and they were doing these little things. And it was the standard stuff. You had your New York people that And then you had your West Coast people that very fast, very precise kind of stuff. And I was listening to the shit coming out of South Philly. My friend Mario, I remember Mario's name, of course. My friend Mario used to go to Philadelphia every summer, and he would spend the whole summer with his grandmother on her farm, and he would listen to 99 FM. And he would record the Friday night jam sessions because 99 FM would have like real fucking DJs on. And one Friday night, they had Jazzy Jeff, like of Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince fame. They had Jazzy Jeff on. And he did this thing that I had never heard before. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And I got on my decks. And I fucked around with my crossfader. And I figured out how to do the thing that Jazzy Jeff was doing. I was like, what's he doing? I recognized that. That's that walk sound effect from the middle of Buffalo Gals by Malcolm McLaren. That's what it is. But what's the thing? What's he doing? How's he doing that? And what he's doing is he's doing orbits on the fader, and he's clicking it. He's clicking it with his finger. And I'm like, oh, it's fucking badass. And I figured out how to do that. And this is the early 90s. Jazzy Jeff invented that technique. He invented it. It's his. Nobody else had it. Nobody else knew how to do it. And I reverse engineered that shit in my basement in Alexandria, Virginia, because I fucking rule. But the world at large hadn't heard it. The only people who were listening to Jazzy Jeff do the Transformer scratch were the people who listened to 99 FM in South Philly on Fridays when they had DJs and happened to catch it when Jazzy Jeff was on. He would not break it in competition for another year and a half, 2 years. And then he went to a competition and just blew everybody's fucking mind with it. But I took that Transformer scratch, didn't know the name of it, and just reverse engineered it from Jazzy Jeff, stole it from Jazzy Jeff on 99 FM when he did his show. I pulled that out in my audition. And I remember when I started doing it, because I was doing the standard East Coast stuff, because we were very provincial about that. We were very... The West Coast was doing all of this stuff. They were doing all of this work with the song Change the Beat. And they were doing all of this stuff with scratching over that thing. And on the East Coast, we were all scratching drum beats. We were all doing like bass drums and snare drums and beat juggling and stuff like that. That's why, like, when you watch, if you want a good example of this, you go watch 3 MCs and 1 DJ by the Beastie Boys. You find that video on YouTube. I'll post it in the videos channel of the Discord server when I get done here. But if I remember, because I'm fucking drunk. But the way that he juggles that drum beat, the way that he makes the beat with just the one turntable and just the one fader, the way he does that, that that was top level game for an East Coast DJ, was to juggle that beat. One deck, one hand, one fader. That's what we were after, was to juggle that one beat. I'm not good at that. And the West Coast was all about repeating phrases and going back and forth over phrases and playing like and changing the sound of something and altering the pitch. And we were all about the rhythmic variations of the drum beat. And the West Coast was all about altering the pitch. And it's like we were the percussion and they were the lead. And then along came Jazzy Jeff, and he was like, "Fuck you, I'm the vocal." Well, shit, man, go the fuck off. That's fucking amazing. And anyway, I pulled that out in my audition. And the guy watching my audition sat the fuck up when I pulled that out. Because I was doing like standard East Coast stuff. He was bored as shit. And I was just like, I got to do something different. So I pulled out the Transformer scratch and I ran that shit. And he sat the fuck up. And he was like, that. I want that. That needs to be in my club. And here's the thing that gets me, okay? I wanted to be a good DJ making good music for this club. And the guy running the club, he wanted me to be a good DJ making good music for this club. Everybody in the club just wanted to smoke crack. That's all they wanted. That's all they was there for. They was there for rock. Ain't a single fucking one of them wanted to dance. Ain't a single fucking one of them wanted to listen to the goddamn music. But I wanted to make music. And the boss wanted to make music. I was stupid. Okay? I didn't know. I literally, like, it was just a year or two ago that I was talking about this with somebody. I may have been on a YouTube video. I don't remember. I was talking about this, and I went, that wasn't the real club. No, they was just smoking crack. I could have done anything. I could have just stood there, just played records. I did not have to perform. I did not have to do anything. I didn't have to build routines. I didn't have to have a signature, anything. I could have just fucked off and collected money. But I worked hard and did a good job. Because that's who I am. I work hard and do a good job. And I'm stupid. And I make bad decisions. But yeah, I had a friend looking back on this. I was just like, I knew that my friend was in the back alley and his job was to sell drugs. But my understanding was that he sold drugs because that made our club better than other clubs. Other clubs didn't sell drugs out the back. Ours did sell drugs out the back. So we had a better club. We ain't have a club. We had a crack den. Nobody was there for the music. Nobody was there for the DJ. Nobody wanted to dance. They were there to smoke rock. And that hits you, man. just like I look back when I was back in Ohio. I had this bunch of friends I hung out with. And they were good friends, man. They hooked me up. They got me hookers for free. They got me drugs for free. And I look back at how they would go, hey, go do this stupid shit. And I would go do the stupid shit. I was not their good friend. I was not part of their crew. I was a mascot. I was the crazy motherfucker who did whatever they told me to do. I was a dork. I was a loser. I was a trained monkey. For a pimp and a drug dealer who wanted to fuck me. And you look back on that stuff and you realize when you were a kid, when you were much younger, you didn't know what the fuck was going on. And there's a definite impulse, and I understand that impulse. There's this impulse to look back on what a fucking moron you were when you were 15 and 20 and 25 and 30. You look back on all the shit you didn't know on what a fucking idiot you were. And what bad decisions you made and what bad choices you made. And you look back on that. And you go, nobody under 30 should be allowed to make those decisions. I was a fucking idiot about certain things when I was 15. But what made me not an idiot about those things was doing those things and finding out what a fucking idiot I was. I lost my virginity at 13, and within a year, I had cracked the code of how to convince other women my age, girls my age, to fuck me. I figured out how to leverage the little queen bee society of cheerleaders in junior high school. And I fucked most of the cheerleaders, half of the drill team, the whole goddamn marching band. Well, not the whole marching band. The whole marching band that I considered fuckable. I was not an enlightened person. There were a lot of perfectly fuckable people in the marching band that I did not consider fuckable at the time because I was not a progressive person at that time in my life, 13, 14, 15 years old. But I figured it out. And the thing was, what you had to do was you had to fuck the rival of the other person you wanted to fuck. And then they would go, well, I can't let you fuck them and not fuck me. And people regarded that as a success, and they regarded that as a triumph. And they're like, damn, man, you fucking everybody. Holy shit, man, what the hell? And that persisted. I mean, even up to, God, when I was in my late 30s at Microsoft, I had this coworker who was French, and he was like, you have to tell me, How many of the women in this building are you fucking? Regularly? Only a couple. But man, having an actual Frenchman go, how do you fuck all these women? I don't fuck all those women. I just represent myself as someone fuckable. And they represent themselves as someone fuckable. And I'm fuckable, they're fuckable. That's cool. We go on about our business. There's a lot of women in this building that would fuck me, but there's not a lot that have. And I love that he asked me that. He lost his shit and asked me that about the most gorgeous, statuesque redhead who passed me in the hall, and she gave me a look and I gave her a look. And she did the little up there. She did the little chin lift at me. I did the little chin lift at her. She was in legal. And that woman was a hammerhead shark. I would never attempt to approach that. That's an eat you alive woman. But if she'd ever approached me, I would have fallen all over myself. Because holy shit, God, that woman was gorgeous. Holy fuck, she was gorgeous. And a lawyer at Microsoft. She's a lawyer at Microsoft. Do you know how smart and capable and competent you have to be a senior lawyer at Microsoft? Oh my God. That's fucking hot. They say men are intimidated by smart women. We're not intimidated by smart women. Well, some of us are, but those are fucking weak, stupid men. Ah, geez. Strong, smart women are amazing. They're awesome. They're fantastic. And a lot of guys worry. There are a lot of guys who go, I worry I won't be able to keep up with a strong, smart woman. It's okay if you can't keep up. They know they're strong. They know they're smart. If you're weak and stupid, they're used to that. They're used to that in all the people they meet. It's not a problem. But whenever you look, I saw somebody say this. I saw somebody bring this up specifically. When you tell a woman, oh, I worry I won't be able to keep up with you. She understands that what you're really saying is, please pretend to be weaker and stupider so I don't have to be insecure. And if she's strong and smart, she won't do that. That's literally, when you tell a woman, I worry I won't be able to keep up, that is the kiss of death. You're never going to fuck that woman. That's never going to happen. Just like I've dated strippers and I've dated escorts. And the one immutable rule of dating strippers and escorts is you cannot pay them. You must never pay them. Once you pay an escort, you're a customer. You're forever a customer. And the only thing you will do by trying to make it more is convince her to make you not a customer. Same thing with the stripper. If you ever buy a lap dance, you're a customer. If you ever sit at the bar and watch their routine and put a tip down their G-string, you're a customer. You can't be a customer and have a relationship with them. You can't do both. Pick one. Being a customer isn't worth it. I have this firm rule about drugs and sex. You don't pay for it. Don't buy your drugs. Don't buy your sex. Well, your illegal drugs anyway. If it's alcohol, buy your alcohol. Don't steal alcohol, buy your alcohol. If it's illegal, don't pay for it. Don't pay for heroin. Don't pay for crack. Don't pay for cocaine. Although, this is the funniest goddamn thing. I don't like to get political, but this is relevant and this is topical. And it's like right here. Donald Trump's insane focus on immigration has distracted law enforcement so much that the price of cocaine has dropped into the fucking toilet. Cocaine is cheap as shit right now because there's so fucking much of it coming into the country. Because Trump's busy trying to get the gang members out. He's trying to deport immigrants. He's wasted so much time and energy trying to deport immigrants. Cocaine is just flying over the border left and right. It's fucking Dr. Zhivago up in this shit. It's just, oh man. There are no words to describe the sheer fucking ignorance and incompetence of that man. I wish it was less dangerous so it could be funnier. We did manage to get Jimmy Kimmel off the air. Thank fucking God. Although we lost Stephen Colbert. That's a great loss. We must protect John Oliver. You know, the loss of Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon's the king of late night. Man, does that leave a bad taste in my mouth. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Anyway, economics. I finished talking about the whole. Yeah. My friend dealt drugs out in the alley, and every night we would both go up and we would collect our pay in cash, and we would leave and we would try to catch the last metro home. We always missed it. We ended up taking a cab. And we'd do rock, paper, scissors to see who paid for the cab. And it was only much, much later that I looked back at it and I went, the only people doing any actual work were the two boys from the suburbs, the upper middle class boys from the suburbs. One black, one white. Black kid selling crack in the alley. White kid scratching records on the platform. We're the only people who did any actual goddamn work. Everybody else is just fucking high. I wonder how much that informs and instructs my general opinion of just like people. The upper class white boys from the suburbs went out and worked. And those folks in Southeast just got high. From a pure racial perspective, that's a very racist observation. That's, you got one white boy and one black boy from the upper middle class suburbs of Alexandria. You go into Southeast, there's that sea of black faces out there. None of them working, all of them just high. And I wonder, I go, what if we'd both been white? What if we'd both been white? Would I sit here today and think only the white people did any work? Probably. Most racism, I think, is a mistake. It's faulty pattern recognition because you only have the patterns you personally observed. I gotta pause and get another drink. I'm not gonna make another darktini because that's too much. I am gonna make another rum and coke. My mom's upstairs taking the dog out. Dog has diarrhea. That's a fun thing. So my mom's taking the dog out because the dog's got diarrhea. I'm making this rum and coke, and she's like, "You're having a drink this early in the morning?" I said, "It's early in the morning for you. It's late at night for me." It's 5:30 in the morning over here. Holy shit. Man, I've been recording for an hour. I was trying to get something across about economic thought. Nobody's watching this anymore anyway. I can say anything. But the key to economic thought is to consider everybody that is affected by a given decision. It's not just about you and the company that makes the thing you are pirating. It is also about the people who observe this and what your actions say to them. If you tell all of them that you're stealing, you're a fucking idiot. And if you don't tell them, then they think you bought it. Now, where was I going with this? Regardless, if you represent to people that you bought something that you didn't buy, you tell them it's okay to buy it. And then they're going to buy it too. And now you've made the exact opposite statement that you were trying to make by stealing it instead of buying it. If you guys want to make a statement, if you want to send a message, you have to not buy the thing and also not have the thing. You have to say, your thing is not worth my time and energy. I don't fucking care about your thing. Fuck off. That's how you tell them to stop doing stuff you don't like. And do I even want to relate this back to Stop Killing Games? You know, a lot of this stuff does relate back to Stop Killing Games, which is, you know, I care about games, and I care about economics, and I care about legislation relating to games. And I don't like talking about stop killing games because Ross Scott is a fucking lunatic and the movement is stupid and it's gotten where it's going, and we're going to find out at some point what the results are, and the results are going to be go fuck yourself. Because they have to be, because the petition's stupid, because what you want them to do is stupid, because what you're asking for is stupid. Look, Acerola did this whole video about the terrible state of the AAA game industry. And I can't get this one fundamental question out of my mind. And if you've seen me talk about this before, you know what the question is. Why are you playing these games? They're terrible. It's... You have a company that you hate making a game that is designed to be predatory, that is designed to trick and coerce you into spending money you don't have on shit that's not real. Look, my focus is off. Y'all aren't watching me anyway. There's nothing to watch here. Look, I know about things you can't have, okay? I mean, the rotating image of Huang Le on my wallpaper is just, I understand shit you can't have, shit that doesn't exist, shit that's bad for you. But it doesn't cost me anything to take dozens of pictures of Huang Le in the underbelly of Neon City. I paid my money for Starfield, and it doesn't cost me more money to go see Huang Le and take her picture. It doesn't cost me more money to put her picture on my desktop. I can do that as much as I want for free. I don't know why you guys are playing these games like Fortnite and Destiny and Uma Musume that have gacha mechanics and gambling systems and loot boxes and battle passes and season passes and cosmetic skins and... Why are you playing these games? They suck. They're terrible. They're awful. Stop playing them. Just stop it. You are literally no better off than my ex's ex who spent all his fucking money playing video poker. It's the same thing. And don't get me wrong, I love to gamble. I love it so much. I love it. I really do. I love casinos. I love going into casinos. I love playing blackjack. I'm good at blackjack. I can win money at blackjack. Blackjack's one of those games. It's one of the few games that, like, you can beat the odds. You can make money playing it. I love to shoot craps. I love dice. Dice are amazing. I love rolling dice. I love the roulette wheel. I love placing my bets. I love the green felt, the layout. I love Baccarat. Baccarat is amazing. You don't even make any choices. It's all done for you. Deal, 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 deal. Done. It is what it is. Esse qua messe. I love it. I love casinos. I love them so much. That's why I don't go to them. because I love them. There's so many things that you love and that are bad for you, so you don't do them. Every time I go to a casino, and I walk out and I'm drunk as shit. And they've comped me a steak dinner usually. And I've got like an extra $200 or $300 in my pocket. And every single time I go, I could quit my job and do this for a living. No, I could not. I could not quit my job and do this for a living. I could not do this every fucking day. If I was doing this every fucking day, the casino would get mad at me. You're not supposed to win money every single time. And I understand exactly why the casino loves me, because I have so much fun. I love to gamble. I love to shoot craps. I love to play roulette. I tell everybody that will listen about the martingale system, and I use the martingale system, and it works for me. I mean, mathematically, the martingale system doesn't work. It's wrong, and it's stupid, and it's flawed. It's based on all kinds of fundamental irrationalities and fallacies, and basically the martingale system works like this. You make even money bets on like odd, even, red, black at a roulette wheel. And when the same result comes up 4 times, the other result is due. So you bet on that one, and you bet big. And it'll probably come up. But what if it doesn't? Well, if it doesn't, you double your bet, because what are the chances it doesn't come up the 6th time? I see a lot more 4 in a row than I see 5 in a row. And I see a lot more 5 in a row than I see 6 in a row. That's the martingale system. The reality is, all of the spins are independent. They have nothing to do with one another. The odds are the same. What are the odds of getting 5 blacks in a row? They're 32 to 1. I'm going to bet against the 32 to 1. But it's not 32 to 1, because the first 4, that first 16 to 1, that already happened. The probability of that is 1. It already happened. The probability of the 5th one is the same, slightly less than 50%, because of the green 0 and double 0. Well, depending on the casino you go to. At the Muckleshoot Casino, they have a 0 and a double 0. There are other casinos elsewhere that they only have a single 0, not a double 0. There are some places they have both tables. There's a 0 and a double 0. But regardless, okay? There's a bit of a house advantage, but the martingale system is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of probability, which is that events in the past have a probability of 100%. And they don't affect the probability of things in the future. Every spin is independent. That's the reality. That's the mathematics. You can prove this. And yet, I use the martingale system at the roulette wheel. I win $200 to $300 pretty consistently. And there's a reason. And the reason is There's an old saying. The market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. In other words, 1 in a million chances can happen more often than you have millions of dollars. Okay? So it's just like, the problem with the martingale system is people try to structure it so you never lose any money. And the way they do it is they go, okay, you bet on black. And if you lose, you double your bet. And if you lose, you double your bet. And if you lose, you double your bet. So you start out at $5 and you lose the $5, you bet $10. You lose the $10, you bet $20. You lose the $20, you bet $40. You lose the $40, you bet $80. Black can keep, actually you're betting on black, so it's red that's coming up when you lose. Red can come up more often than you can double your bet. I use a modified martingale system. I bet randomly. I pay no attention to what the run is until I see the same thing come up 4 times. If I decide I'm going red, black, then what I'll do is I'll bet black. And black comes up, I'll go, great, I won, and I'll take my money. And I'll bet red. And I'll go back and forth, black and red, black and red, black and red. It's the same as like betting in general. But if I see 4 blacks come up, I go, okay. Now I'm putting 20 on red because 4 blacks have come up. And if I lose, I put 40 on red. And if I lose again, I'm like, fuck it. You gotta call it. You gotta call it. You can't let it go on forever. You can't bet 160 on red. No, don't do that shit. It's just, if you lose 160 on red, it's just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to put 5 on black. And I'm going to see what happens. Oh, look, it came up red. Oh, you should have put 160 on red. No. I watch for 4 in a row. If there's been 4 in a row, I bet against 5 in a row. If we get 5 in a row, I bet double against 6 in a row. If I lose on 6 in a row, fuck it. I just go back to whatever. I go back to vibes. The first 4 is vibes. That's all there is to it. And if we get 6 in a row, the streak doesn't count. I'm just like, fuck it. It's gone 6. Fuck it. I'm gonna put my standard $5 on black at this point. Oh, look, it's black again. $10. Cool. And you have to be okay with losing money. You put your winnings in one pocket and your bankroll in another pocket. And when your bankroll's gone, you take your winnings and you go the fuck home. You take them and you go. If your winnings pocket is empty, that's cool. Because when you walk into a casino, you have your bankroll, you have your money that you're willing to spend, okay? And you get that in cash. You do not take credit. Ever, ever, ever take credit. You have cash in your pocket. You get the chips with your cash. You take those chips, and whenever you win, it's winnings. You keep your winnings. When you run out of bankroll, take your winnings and go. If you lose some of your winnings, that's fine. But do not run out of bankroll and then start going through your winnings. Take the winnings. And if the winnings exceed your bankroll, you win. You fucking win. I have walked out of casinos with $3,000 in my pocket, starting from a $100 bankroll. I've walked out with $3,000 and I have felt so fucking good about myself. And I've gone, I could be a professional gambler for a living. That is the devil talking. No, because I'm pretty sure if I went and counted it up, the number of times I've walked out of a casino with absolutely jack fucking shit. I took $100 in and I brought absolutely nothing out. I'm pretty sure they'd add up to that $3,000. In fact, I think they might add up to more. I do well at casinos because I understand my job at a casino. My job is to get other people to bet more money and lose. The casino doesn't mind if I win so long as other people lose more than I win. They do not mind at all. They will give me a free dinner. They will give me free drinks. They will even offer me a room. No, that's okay. I'm just here for the night. I don't need a room. I have on occasion gotten them to give me some free chips instead of a room. Which room are you in? We can comp you. No, I'm okay. But I could use another 100 in chips. Casinos are very helpful if you're doing their job for them, and your job is to make them money. It's the thing I love about casinos. Casinos are like the ultimate capitalist expression because any jackass can walk in off the street and work at the casino and get paid. You can be a customer or you can be an affiliate. And I fucking love that. Sometimes people ask me how I do well at blackjack. Counting cards isn't that difficult. You can learn it in 20 minutes. Do a few searches on the internet. The hard part is not looking like you're counting cards. I use a few basic rules. I use a few basic, you split your aces, you split your eights. Aces and eights you split. Okay? And there's times that you double down and there's times that you hit, and there's times that you stand. There's a series of rules, you just use those rules. And on top of that, you can count cards. And every once in a while, I will catch myself keeping the count and tracking whether the shoe is hot or cold. And it's not illegal to count cards, but it is against the rules. And if you can do it, if you're good at it, especially, they will ban you from the casino. And I don't want to get banned from the casino. So I try not to count cards. And when I catch myself counting cards, I leave the blackjack table and I go play craps. You know what I love about craps? You know what I love about shooting craps? It's pretty fair. It's all random. There's no advantage to be had. It's nothing but pure fucking chance. And I love that. I love that so much. I have an addictive and obsessive personality. And I am very, very prone to get sucked into anything well beyond what anyone should be. Uma Musume is a very, very dangerous game for me to play. And I know it's a very, very dangerous game for me to play. And that's why I have uninstalled it. I played it for 2 hours. And I went, nope, this is a bad game for me. I do not need to play this game. I am exactly the kind of person that microtransactions exist for in games, because I have no problem with microtransactions existing in games, and I'm highly prone to spending way too much money on them. But I am not a fucking moron, so I don't play those games. And I don't know why so many other gamers are out there playing these predatory games with too many microtransactions and battle passes and cosmetic skins. I don't know why you play these. Why do you do this? Why? I don't understand. I look back on when I was really young, on when I was like in my teens and 20s. I look back on the time I spent working in DC, and on the time I spent going to casinos and gambling too much and drinking too much. I look back on the time I spent with that. And I go, what was it that caused me to wise up? And I could put my hand on one particular point. I was 19 years old. And I was hanging out with my friends, and my friends were big fucking weed smokers. And I didn't have any weed. And I didn't have any money. And nobody in my friend group had enough to share. They had enough for themselves, but not enough to share. And I was like, that's cool. Y'all go ahead. And I had to sit there dead fucking sober, watching all of my friends get high as shit and act like fucking idiots. And I went, that's how I act when I'm high. I don't like that. And that's when I stopped smoking weed. Like, that's when I stopped doing pretty much everything. Kept drinking. Kept smoking. Tobacco. Alcohol and nicotine. I love alcohol and nicotine. They're very good drugs. They're very beneficial for me. I enjoy them. Get this song running through my head. And I'm not 100% certain whether it's a Cradle of Filth song or a song that I wrote. I think it's, I'm gonna go try to look it up. Okay, it's not popping up in any of the Cradle of Filth lyric sites, so apparently it's a song that I wrote. It feels like a Cradle of Filth song, though. I'm not gonna sing it. I'm too fucking drunk. Or not drunk enough. One of the two. But, yeah. I keep kind of freaking out about that. In a couple of weeks, Old Man Yapping is moving from Thursdays to Wednesdays. And when it does that, it's like I get the video on Monday. I get the video on Monday. I get the video on Wednesday. And then there's nothing. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 whole days. That's a lot. Although on Sunday, I do the post on Subscribestar. I'm very nervous about that. I'm very nervous about that this week because I'm not doing the Subscribestar post until Sunday. Usually I do it a week or two ahead of time. I mean, on Substack, I did it like a week or two ahead of time. Sometimes I was a month or a month and a half ahead of time. But yeah, I'm not doing it until Sunday, which realistically means Saturday after midnight. and it's really kind of worrying me. It's making me antsy because I'm like, what if I can't write the post in one day? It's 1,000 words. I could do it in an hour. It's not even 1,000 words. I just have to like say what I'm planning to do on Monday and what I'm planning to do on Wednesday. Well, what I'm planning to do on Thursday this week. The next week it's Monday and Wednesday. But what's really kind of baking my head about it is starting in November, Old Man Yapping becomes tuning in. And it starts to be about music. I don't I haven't done that here before. Does anybody care about that? Maybe I should make it sound design for the first couple. Maybe I should do like how to do some sound effects, or I don't know. I'm worried. I'm worried that I'm not going to do a good job. I want to do a good job. I got such great praise the last couple of weeks. I got praise for helping somebody understand how to draw anime titties. And I got praise for helping them understand how to draw legs. And I feel like I'm not very good at either of those things. And I'm glad I was helpful, and I'm glad that they're thankful. But at the same time, I'm like, how much did I really help? How much am I really helping? I got this picture of Huang Le up on my wallpaper, and I keep looking at her boots. I keep looking at, I gotta do that. I gotta like do this. I gotta switch to the bottom right. Okay. Um, Actually switch to the bottom left. You see the boot right here. You see the boot. You see the way her boot is folded. That's not how these kind of boots fold. That would be a half lock fold. That's driving me fucking nuts. And I'm thinking about it because I'm having imposter syndrome issues about a lot of stuff. We have wandered so far off topic, but that's like normal. It's old man yapping. You know, we're supposed to wander off topic. That's the way it works. I have boots like that. That's not how they fold. When you sit like that, when you fold your ankle like that, they don't fold that way. They half lock the same way that your elbow does in a dress shirt. They yeah, it's a different kind of fold. That's not how it works. You're doing it wrong, Bethesda. It's driving me fucking nuts. Looking at that. I'm distracting. I'm trying to distract from the general problem of I'm worried about starting to do a video that's about music. I don't feel like my videos about art are that good. I don't I just I have this imposter syndrome issue. I have this problem believing that I'm good at anything, really. Dead air is bad on a video. There isn't there isn't really dead air, is there? I mean, like, even when I'm not talking, I am on video, and being on video, you can see my body language and you can see the expressions on my face, and like I am reasonably expressive. Although I do put my hand in front of my face a lot. I wonder how distracting that is. Regardless. What was I talking about? I was supposed to be talking about piracy, economic thought. I've wandered rather far afield, I fear. But that's fine. I'm just yapping. Can't really do that when we're trying to show up or when we're trying to tune in. In a little over a month, there's not going to be any more yapping. There's not going to be any more freeform. There's not going to be any more fuck it, whatever I feel like saying. It's all going to be targeted, supposedly. It's going to be art. It's going to be visual, audio, code. Visual audio game. It's not always going to be coding. It's going to be like design and shit. God, I dread having to refactor this code. I have to go in and refactor this code. I have to take the code that I hacked into submission and made do what I want it to do. I have to take it and I have to strip it back and I have to pull it apart into discrete segments and say this is what it is doing and this is how it is doing it and this is the proper way to architect that. And I'm dreading that because it's just a dreadful thing. I don't enjoy doing it. It's one of the nobody ever likes doing that. I'm dreading it because I have to show you my terrible code. And I have to turn it into good code. And I know that a lot of people are going to go, that's still terrible code. And I'm going to have to see comments from those people who go, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. And I have to go, fuck off. I don't mind having to tell people to fuck off. I just mind that they show up and need to be told to fuck off. You know? Like, I don't mind blocking people on social media. I just mind that people I need to block show up. There's too many of them. It's very frustrating. It's very annoying. Upgraded to Gato 4.5. Which amusingly means that having upgraded to 4.5, this is cute. If I switch over here, if you look, you'll see that the title of the icon is Gato 4.6 Dev. That's because immediately after 4.5 releases, the unmodified source code changes to the 4.6 Dev model. And I'm working on Origin Master, not on a tag. Gato is doing a whole lot of new 3D features and not a whole lot of 2D features. I don't even really need to upgrade because everything that it does, or everything that they say it does, is like, this is in a section of the software that you don't use. Well, I don't need that. I don't need to upgrade. And when you start working on the production version of your code, when you start going, okay, we're going to build the version that we ship, you lock your version. You don't upgrade. You don't add the new add-ons or features. You go, all right, we've got a basically working executable. Now we're going to turn it into the actual release version. We are going to lock this down on, I don't know, 4.5.3 or whatever the fuck. And you stay there. You don't change shit. Because if you don't upgrade the engine, you know that the only changes are happening in your code. I get people that say you can't do that, and I'm just like, you have to do that. You don't have a choice. You need to do that. I had some guy who was like, I've been working on my game for 8 years. And when he actually showed a link to what he had been working on in his game, it was half a Call of Duty level without meaningful graphics. The things he was concentrating on were the operation of the shooting mechanics and the sound. And both of those were fucking amazing. He did a fantastic job on the sound. He did a fantastic job on the mechanics of running and shooting. But his level design was garbage. And there was no actual game. 8 years? It's not even what you'd call playable. There's no way to play it. Now, the criticism can obviously be leveled that I've been working on my game for 5 years. A little over 4.5, actually. But I've only been working on a horde survival game for like 6 to 8 months. And it's playable. you can play it. It has all of the trappings of a game and can be played. Not finished. It doesn't have progression, it doesn't have all the sound effects, it doesn't have the level design, weapons, and there's a lot of stuff. There's so much fucking stuff. I got thousands of sprites, dozens of sound effects. I gotta make a main menu. I mean, just, that's not even that difficult. But there's all of the UX stuff. I don't know what I want the UX to look like. I don't know how that's supposed to fit together. I'm at 1 hour and 45 minutes on this fucking video. And I'm fucking drunk, and I don't fucking care. Nobody cares about your problems until they're solved. And they are solved, really. I know what I need to do. I have the solution that I need to have. I need to do the work. I need to work hard and do a good job. And I'm gonna. Anyway. That's my yapping for this week, I guess. We're at 1 hour and 46 minutes. And I'm drunk and I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And maybe it's worthless. But you only got another month of this and then I start talking about music. And maybe that's worthless too. I don't know. I've been thinking lately that you can represent any scale as a pair of interlaced seventh chords. I don't know how useful that is. Well, heptatonic scales anyway. Maybe that's where I start with tuning in, is with intervals and scales and chords. Maybe that's where it ought to be. Maybe that's where we ought to start. I mean, that's the foundation of like most of what I do. Stacking thirds. And there's a famous rock star connection too, because I learned that from Brian May. Don't arpeggiate across a scale, arpeggiate across a chord. Don't use whole steps and half steps, use thirds. Minor and major thirds. Anyway. That's pretty much all I have to say. I don't know that I even had anything worth saying. But, yeah. That's that. Do the little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. Okay, bye.